Hello again, everyone. Welcome into the world of football. I am your host, Adam Snow. Joining me, as always, is the founder and my father, Randy Snow. Dad, how you doing today as we recap Week 7 of Arena Football 1 action?
There was some close games and one game that was not so close, but it was still a pretty good weekend of AF1 football.
Well, yeah, in terms of the football on the field, but there's so much we're going to have to get into that's unfortunately off the field. We've gone 8 weeks into the season, and it's something that we hoped we wouldn't have to talk about. It's something we're going to have to address. It's something that the league's going to have to address, and we're going to get to that momentarily. I don't think people are going to have to wait too long. But first, guys, we would like to remind you to like and comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It would be greatly appreciated, as well as following us on all our various social media accounts. It would help us out greatly there. And without further ado, guys, let's just get into it. We're going to get the ball rolling here, starting with the first game. We had a triple header on Friday night in AF1 action. And if you were like us, you watched everything, unfortunately. This first game, Week 7, kicked off the AF1 action with this triple header, and it started with the Albany Firebirds hanging 100 points. That's right, I'm not misspeaking. That graphic on the screen is not incorrect. 100 points on a depleted Corpus Christi Tritons team, 100-12. I use the word depleted because that is the friendly kind of term that the broadcaster used during this game on Evergreen Now. And I thought the announcer was pretty good, despite what the heck was happening on the screen. We were out, Dad, I don't know if you want to tell this story, but we were out at a bar. You don't drink, but we were out with some researcher friends in Buffalo, New York, Springfield more specific. And we had the games on our phones. You had one game on your phone. Yep, I had the other game on my phone.
Yep.
And before we knew it, all of a sudden, the Albany Firebirds were up 35-0 in pretty much the blink of an eye. And I don't know how you felt at that point, but that was at the point I was like, wait a minute. Something ain't right. Something doesn't sound right.
Yeah, both teams were undefeated going into this game, and
nope, Corpus Christi was 3-1.
Okay, yes, you're right. But nobody saw this coming. At least we didn't.
Well, if you traverse some of the message boards and some of the forums on the AF1, this was coming a while away, as the rumor that was going around, and we'd heard stuff. Nothing was substantial yet. Nothing had really come out or been official. The star players were still playing for the Corpus Christi Tritons, but they fielded a team of, lack of a better word, replacement players, of guys off the street, as a star like Darius Prince didn't play in this game. That was a big red flag. Right. The rumors obviously have been going around that the Corpus Christi team has not been paid in 3 weeks. Maybe more. I don't know all the complete details. A lot of that's still kind of coming out, and a lot of it hasn't even been confirmed, other than the fact that there was a social media post by Darius Prince that kind of added credence to the whole thing of him sitting on the sideline for the game, saying that it was the first time he'd missed a game in like 10 years or something like that. The second being him posting his equipment at the foot of a hotel room door, kind of saying, peace out, Corpus Christi. So not a good look in Corpus Christi at all for this organization. No idea what's going to happen to him going forward, but you hate to see it.
Yeah, you hate to see it. I mean, we saw enough of that last year. We thought we were all past that in arena football, but there's still a little bit there going on. I don't know what to say. I don't know when this is going to come to an end, or how it's going to come to an end, but it's very, very disappointing.
Yeah, it is. And, lost in this is, look, the Albany Firebirds did what they had to do. They came down to Corpus Christi. They did their travel thing, and they hung up 100 points. Now, is that because the talent discrepancy was that bad, or was it because Albany was just, I think that was a factor, but it was also Albany saying, we held up our end of the deal. We're going to play our butts off, even if it means putting in the backup quarterback, who had a very nice game. Robert McCoy Jr. taking over for Sam Castronova for most of this game. He went 8 of 21, 85 yards. He threw 5 touchdowns during this game. Take the stats for what you will. I barely even want to mention stats in this game because of
Yeah.
how lopsided it was. Because it didn't feel as like legitimate as, another, a different game. Like this was replacement guys for the most part, it sounds like. The announcers had names. The AF1 website was missing names on the stat sheet. So we don't even know some of the guys that even filled in this game. And to me, it's kind of hard to talk about stats and acknowledge these stats without a big fat asterisk next to it. But if you're the social media team for the Albany Firebirds, come on, guys. I get you hung up a big score there, and it was a great game. But some of these records that they're taking credit for were just eye-rolling and absolutely ridiculous. The only one that I will stand for is a lot of the kicking stuff because that's hard to do, period. Even with a scrub team on the other side, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I thought Nell hitting deuces right off the bat of the game. I hurt the deuce, by the way. And I love to see that. I think his stuff is the only legitimate thing. I mean, he did a lot of drop kicks during the game. Maybe he wouldn't have normally done that if it wasn't against a team that wasn't able to field a proper team. Hard to say, but go for it.
Kicker Henry Nell for Albany accounted for 26 points in this game. He had 5 deuces, 6 2-point drop kicks, which you don't see. You barely see one ever in a game, and he had 6 of them. And he even had a 2-point conversion catch when there was a bad snap on a PAT, and he just rolled out, and the quarterback went the other way, saw him over in the corner, and threw the ball to him for 2 points. So, yeah, I mean, for a kicker, it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the field. That's still an impressive performance for a kicker in a game. But boy, yeah, the one thing I really didn't like is that here at Corpus Christi, Albany was up by 100 points. They had 100 points on the board, and in the closing seconds, they were still trying to score another touchdown. I mean, at what point do you call it off and say we made our point, we've got our 100? It's never been done in arena football before. Just give these guys a break. But no, they were still trying to score another touchdown as time ran out, and that part I didn't like about it. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. And look, like I said, I did not like kind of their social media post. It was icky. I just didn't like this. They in one post they put, we didn't just win, we made history. 100-12. Okay, yeah, you guys beat a scrub team. Congratulations. Yeah, bask in that glory. I know you're the best team in the league. I'm not going to deny that, but come on now.
Yeah.
I don't think that was right, and I think basking in that glory is kind of lame, to be honest with you. I think it's pathetic. And then their next tweet or post was 8 records shattered, a legacy written, and the records that they're claiming. Oh, here we go. The most points scored by a single team in AF1 history. Okay, the league's 8 weeks old. Calm the heck down. It might not be broken. It was also the largest halftime lead in pro football history. Okay, 79-0. Whoop-de-doo. Again, you were playing a scrub team. Get out of here. The fastest 35-point lead in pro football history. 11 minutes. Another dumb stat. Like, again, scrubs.
Right.
Congratulations. Most touchdown passes by a backup quarterback in pro football history. 7 touchdowns. Where are you pulling this stuff out of in a single game? Like, I think that's silly too. The largest margin of victory in AF1 history, 88 points. Again, the league's been around 8 weeks. Calm down. But most drop kick extra points in pro football history, 6 drop kicks in a single game, is another record they're claiming. Most points by a kicker in arena football history with 26 points. That might be one of the few that I'll give you. That might be it, because kicking is difficult in any league.
Yep.
And the most deuces in a single game in pro football history, 5 deuces. Yes, because all the leagues have deuces in pro football. Like, calm down, Albany. Whoever decided to come up with these stats and put this on their social media, it irks me. It irks me so much. I already think they're the best team. We already kind of came around to that and gave them that crown. This just seems like just insult to injury and just kind of gloating about beating up a team that they literally signed off the streets. I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the kicker performance was noteworthy in this game. But for the rest of it, I mean, they could have backed off when they hit 50 points. You knew they weren't going to come back after that. But they were looking to set records against a bad team, so they did. So congratulations.
Yep, I guess now that just makes me want to see them get knocked down even harder. Look, I'm not saying what Corpus Christi did is right. Clearly, it's not. There's so much there to unpack between what do we think the league should do about this? Is this Triton's team even playing? They have technically a bye this week. Uh, does the league even say anything, or do they just go about business as usual, which is also kind of icky considering that guys aren't paid? That was something from the beginning of this that we said, look, as long as they're paying guys and, you know, all that's on the up and up, we can deal with a bunch of the other kind of, okay, one game they didn't have nets up. Okay, we get it. Like, we could let that slide. But letting
Right.
your players go unpaid as a league, even, I get it that it's on that ownership group and that they're trying to rely on each owner to take care of their team. That still doesn't sit right with me.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable, and somebody's got to step in because this is the kind of shenanigans that's going to get your league, uh, not taken seriously. Jeff Fisher came out, and we'll talk about the news story a little bit later. Jeff Fisher came out and talked about how he wants this to be the premier indoor arena league. Congratulations, you have a premier indoor league that is not paying your players, and you wonder why some of these guys didn't want to come to your league and play with you this year because of something like this happening, and it's unfortunate. So, no league statement as of right now. We're recording on a Monday afternoon, and as far as I've seen, there's been nothing from the league yet. Any comments I've seen, like Arena Insider trying to reach for comment, the league hasn't come out and officially said anything, so we're all waiting with bated breath. So there's that. I'm tired of talking about that one. I'm sure there's more we could talk about. It's just 8 weeks, and it's finally happened. And I was hoping the shoe wouldn't drop, but it did. So
yeah, I'm tired of talking about this game or listening to you talk about this game. So let's move on to the next game.
That's fine. That's fine. Let's go on to the Vice game that was the nationally televised game this week, which saw the Salina Liberty defeat the Billings Outlaws 43-37. This was actually an interesting game. A little bit back and forth for the most part. Billings had a chance there towards the end of the game, but just could not seal the deal. And Salina comes out with their second straight victory. This team has been rejuvenated. This is a completely different Salina team. And quite frankly, unfortunately, this is quite the different Billings team.
Yeah. Well, Billings got off to a bad start. That's been their MO lately. They were down 12-0 early in the game, but they made a comeback and they were just down 15-14 at halftime. So they came back from that, just down by a point. The second half was pretty exciting from what we saw. Back and forth, we score, they score, we score, they score. Just total back and forth. But in the end, like you said, Billings had a chance to go ahead and what was it? Was it a interception or was it a incomplete on fourth down? I forget how their last drive ended, but they were right there at the end.
It happens. Yeah.
And Salina just hung on for a 6-point win. So a very close game, much different than the previous game that we talked about.
Oh, for sure. And I was we were on the road, so I was putting together stuff for this show. And the fact that the Salina and Billings box score is still stuck at 15-14 at halftime. No updated stats after that. What's going on, league? I don't know if maybe they had to drop what they were doing and start dealing with what was happening in Corpus Christi at that time. Maybe that's why this didn't get updated. I don't know. But look, Billings, I'm just shocked. I'm not going to lie. I am shocked that Billings is now on a 3-game slide. Look, yes, Albany, best team in the league. But Albany whooped them good. And Salina was, frankly, the worst team in the league up until last week where they get a quarterback and that whole narrative changes. This Salina team now is vastly improved. They've already had a lot of the pieces there, but that quarterback seems to be the last piece of that puzzle, as well as that running back that they got there, whose name escapes me at the moment. But they got a good group there. It was just a matter of getting those pieces to click, and they got it. It seems like they've kind of cracked it. And I think this Salina team could be a problem even for Albany. Remember, they hung with Albany in the first half of that game in Salina, and then eventually it was just too much for them. But I think this version of the Salina Liberty could be a team to reckon with. So kudos to them. Like I said, I would have brought up some stats, some other stuff from this game, but unfortunately that was not updated on their site. Anything else? about this game you want to talk about? 2 home games for Billings now, and nothing.
Yeah.
No wins for their home crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's too bad. The first game wasn't well attended because it was Easter Sunday. This week, I don't know if they're. I think the crowd was better this week than on Easter Sunday. So
It's hard to
hopefully
tell.
the fans haven't given up on this team. They can still have a pretty decent season, and I hope the fans come out and help the team turn the tide there in Billings.
I hope so. It's still early enough in the season for Billings to turn things around. So, we'll have to wait and see. Coach Ware, I have all the confidence that he's at least going to put the best team he can forward. But we'll see. I mean, they could be sliding down quick. Their opponents coming up are going to be no slouch, and they're going to have a target on their back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We're going to take a couple of seconds here to tell you guys about a podcast we do every Tuesday. It's called This Week in the World of Football, guys. It'll be episode number 391. And, Dad, what are some of the topics we're going to have on this week's show?
Oh, geez, wasn't much going on last weekend. Oh, yeah, the NFL draft was going on last weekend. We're going to talk about all the drama and some of the stories that you may not have heard of that came out of that. We also found out that our beloved Detroit Lions are going to be playing in the Hall of Fame game at the end of July against the LA Chargers. And up in Canada, they've got themselves a new commissioner in the Canadian Football League, and he was introduced to the media just last week and took over just before the CFL draft, which is coming up tonight.
All right, yeah, that's right. Monday night, April 28th, the CFL draft is happening.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry.
Talk about that
Tomorrow night. It's tomorrow night.
Tuesday night. Wow, way to go, Randy. Tuesday night, not tonight.
I misspoke. Yes, it's coming up tomorrow night when we're doing our podcast.
It's all good. So we'll probably talk about a little bit of that CFL draft, so much other football stuff over at This Week in the World of Football. Find the podcast here on YouTube or over on wherever you find your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, wherever you'll find This Week in the World of Football over there. All right, we got 2 games to talk about. We got the last game of that triple header Friday night, which was on a little bit of a delay. Apparently, Evergreen now was having some streaming issues, but eventually, that game kind of got going about 15, 20, 30 minutes into the game as the Washington Wolfpack defeated the Oregon Lightning 41-30. This game was in Oregon. Was very curious how this was going to look because Oregon had some issues that first game of the year they had in that arena. A lot of the boards falling out of place. Looked like they did a better job of that this time around from what I saw during the game. But the interesting note from this game is Washington was up 41-0 in the third quarter of this game. It was frankly embarrassing. You were like, oh boy, Oregon just doesn't have it in them. And what does Oregon do? Oregon goes on a 30-0 run. Washington had no answers for them. Oregon was just getting all the bounces and everything was kind of going Oregon's way, but it was not enough to get this game. Again, the Wolfpack taking it 41-30. What are your thoughts on this?
This was Washington's first road game of the season. They've had 5 home games so far, and this is the first time they hit the road. Didn't have to go too far, just down the road a little ways to Oregon, and for this game. And Washington was up 20-0 at halftime. They led 41-0 in the third quarter, and then the Lightning finally, their team, the whole offense finally came to life. They scored 30 unanswered points, including a 50-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. But again, just not quite enough for the Lightning as Washington comes out with their first road win of the year.
Yeah, and another thing from this game was, Ed Crouch was let go by the Washington Wolfpack. I was a bit surprised by this move. They add Adam Cruz, I believe that's how you say his name, but came in, did a nice job there, helped the Wolfpack get a win. But I mean, Dalton Cole, not a great game for Dalton, I think, for the Lightning, but the team as a whole kind of responded there at the end of the game, but too little, too late in this one. And I'm not gonna lie, it sucked trying to get into this game because at first it was like, oh, you already started the stream, and Washington was up. I want to say it was 13-0 by the time they got the stream ready in the middle of the second quarter. Then it was halftime, and I was like, okay, halftime, 20-0. Then Washington scored the 21 points. I'm like, oh boy, not another beatdown. I just got through this exhausting game with the Tritons and Firebirds. Here we go again. Then when Oregon started to pick things up, I was actually on the edge of my seat, technically the end of my hotel bed, watching this game on my computer. And it stinks that they couldn't get it a little closer because I was like, it was getting entertaining. And just as it was getting entertaining, the game was over.
Yeah.
So, hopefully this is a sign. Like, we've been talking about these two teams trying to improve for weeks. Oregon still got to figure it out. They're still just not quite there. Washington, though, now that they have a different quarterback, is this going to be like a Salina situation where, maybe the tide starts turning and they start going in a different direction? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Can I take a moment and set the scene for our Friday night football viewing? We were in Springville, New York. We were in Springville, New York. We had gone out to a bar, had some great food, and interacted with a bunch of other football researchers. It's kind of an annual tradition for us. So we go back to our room, and the TV channel Vice did show up on our TV. So we actually got to watch the Vice game on the big TV in the room. But you had brought your computer, and that was sitting on the desk, and so you had one of the AF1 games on that. Then you had your laptop sitting in front of the TV, and there was another game on that. So we had all three arena games on at the same time. Plus, we had the NFL draft on recall on the TV. So it was football nirvana for us on a Friday night. It was just the best way to spend a night in a hotel room with three AF1 games on and the NFL draft at the same time. So that's how we spent our Friday night. So yeah, we got to see all the games, but it was back and forth. Oh, here's somebody scored over here. Somebody scored over here. It was hard to keep track of who was doing what, except in that 100-point game. But it was it was a wild night at the hotel in Springville.
Yes, it certainly was. And so that was our Friday night. That was the AF1's Friday night. Now with the final game of the weekend, which took place Saturday night, which saw the Nashville Cats just edge out the Southwest Kansas Storm 41-37 in this game. Look, Southwest Kansas jumped out to a nice early lead, but the Cats clawed back. I know that's the favorite thing to say when these Cats play. And, Nashville, I think they were down at halftime. I don't remember the halftime score at the top of my head.
It was 23. Southwest Kansas was up 14-0 in the first quarter, and the Cats led 23-22 at halftime.
The Cats were up at halftime? I thought the Cats were down.
Well, I have it that the Cats were up 23-21 at halftime. Maybe it was the other way around, but it was a 1-point game at halftime.
Okay, it was a close game going into the half. So I was like, all right, here we go. This was kind of what we were promised.
Right.
That this is going to be a close game. And in the second half, the Cats just kind of took off and kind of controlled most of the game, despite Southwest Kansas making the game late. And I think there weren't a whole lot of points scored there at the end of the game. It was kind of a slugfest. And not going to lie, a little bored towards the end of the fourth quarter because all the Cats had to do was, run the ball a little bit. They were just kind of milking clock. And they ended up getting the win. And, Coach Darren Arbette, doing his thing. Yep. And has this Cats team humming now. So,
yeah, the Cats were up 39-37 with under a minute to go in the game, and there was a safety, and that was the only other point scored in that final minute to give the Cats the 41-37 win. Another close game that was kind of back and forth in the second half. Fun to watch. It's nice when the teams can keep trading touchdowns and see who's got the ball last. That's a great way for an arena football game to end.
Yeah, it just stinks, unfortunately, that all these games, as tight as a couple of them were, and as entertaining as they ended up kind of being, is going to be overshadowed by the big story of the weekend.
Yeah.
But so that's it for that. So let's talk about the standings real quick, I guess, if we want, because I don't know what to make of this. So obviously Albany's going to be sitting there at the top with your perfect record, 6-0. Followed by them, behind them is the 3-2 Nashville Cats, and the 3-2 Corpus Christi Tritons. Do the Tritons even make it to next week? I know they technically have a bye, so they're going to buy the league's going to have maybe a week to figure this out. It would be nice to get some information ahead of time.
Right.
But we'll see. Then you have the Southwest Kansas Storm at 4-3, the Billings Outlaws at 2-3, the Salina Liberty at 2-4, the Washington Wolfpack at 2-4, and the Oregon Lightning at 1-5. And then as we look ahead at the Week 8 slate of games, there's only going to be 3 games. 1 game Saturday night, and then 2 games on Sunday. It starts off Saturday with the Billings Outlaws traveling to Southwest Kansas to take on the Storm. And I hate to say it, I think this is one the Storm might take. Billings is just, until they can get back on the horse and prove otherwise, I think Southwest Kansas has got a little more firepower right now.
Yeah. We'll see.
Then Sunday, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock here on the East Coast, I think, because they got it at Mountain Time. But the early game will be Salina at Albany. This should be interesting. This new look Salina Liberty team on Sunday, May the 4th be with you. Might give this Albany team some fits. I'm actually very curious about this because like the last time these two teams played in Salina, it was a really close first half. A 1 point separated these two teams. Then the second half, things got out of hand. Will this Salina team be able to do that again against Albany and maybe even string together a full 4 quarters and make the Firebirds sweat a little bit? That's what I want to see. Nothing from you? Okay. I know
no.
your internet's lagging really bad tonight. So if there's any pauses, that's what's happening, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then finally, the Oregon Lightning are going to go to Washington this time. So it's a back and back for them, back to back. We'll see if Washington can, with that new quarterback, get another win, and we'll see what Oregon can do to try to capitalize on their end of game momentum against the Wolfpack. So that is your Week 8 slate there. 3 games, 6 teams playing. On bye will be the why am I blanking on the team? The Nashville Cats, Titans and Cats, or Tritons, and we'll see if the Tritons are even a team in the league. So we'll see. And then we did have a few news items, I guess, to catch up on. Actual news items outside of the Corpus Christi thing that's happening. We had not head coach, but let's see. I had my notes right here. Here we go. First off, actually, the Stockton Crusaders, a team that were supposed to play this year.
Yes.
And they're holding off till next year. Made a statement regarding their commitment to the 2026 season. I was a bit surprised by this, and was very positive until everything else that started happening this week. Then now I'm just like, I can't take anything seriously right now.
Yeah, that was a positive announcement from them, giving hope that yes, there will be expansion next year, at least by 1, if not more teams. And then the whole thing with Corpus Christi kind of put a downer on all that.
Yeah, all these news stories kind of a downer. In retrospect now, Jeff Fisher did an interview with TMZ Sports this week as well, talking about the expansion or a future expansion, and kind of gave a few of us a little hope. Like, hey, look, we don't think it'll be the full doubling of the league that he kind of said was kind of the high end, but we more realistic. We figured, hey, if they were going to expand, maybe 2 to 4 teams. We'll see how they do. And so that gave us a little positivity. But then, obviously now with the Corpus Christi thing, it's just, I can't take any of it serious. And then the league addressed, which shocked me, Tuesday night. So after we even did our podcast and this show, obviously, the league addressed the controversial officiating call at the end of the Southwest Kansas Corpus Christi game the week prior, which we talked about here. And I think an official was let go, or like a head of officiating or something. They made a change. Going forward, they got some new stipulations, and I think they said that Gary Compton was going to be a little more involved in the last minute of games with officiating help, like have a hotline or whatever. But they didn't post it on their social medias that night. It wasn't until Wednesday morning that all got put out there, but it was on their website Tuesday night. Heard about it on the AF1 fan cast on YouTube. Our buddy Tim Capper over there and their crew talk about that. So that's how I found out about that, and I thought that was interesting that they actually
that was the game where Yeah, that was a game where Southwest Kansas threw a Hail Mary as time expired, and the pass was completed, but there was a penalty, and that should have ended. There should not have been an untimed play after that. It should have been okay. Now we're into overtime and go from there. But they gave them one more play, and they gave with no time on the clock. They had a second play, which turned into a hook and ladder play for a touchdown, and so they won the game anyway. But technically, they shouldn't have had that last play. It should have been overtime. So that's the game they were talking about.
Yeah. So, yep, those are the big news items right now as we await what this league is going to do about the situation down in Corpus Christi. Where will Darius Prince go? Will it be in the AF1 or will he jump ship to the IFL or another league? Who knows what Darius is going to do? I mean, we wish him the best, and all those players. We hope all that gets resolved, and hope it just sucks. The whole situation sucks, and having this cloud over this, stinks. It was so nice for weeks just talking about the on the field stuff, talking about these players, their accomplishments, and these great teams that they've been kind of building up, and it takes the wind out of your sails a little bit to have to dedicate time to talking about that nonsense. We love arena football. We like a lot of the guys, in the front office and all the people obviously who cover this league who care deeply about this league. And to see something like this is heartbreaking. And you hope that they just learn from that and go and can move forward. But it's going to be hard to not question things going forward now. I mean,
well, the haters are always going to be out there, and they're just looking for any little thing to hate on this league about. And boy, the league gave them something big to hate on this week, and I'm very upset about that.
Yeah, you hate to see it. And look, the writing might have been on the wall for a while, but the dam finally broke.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd heard all of it too the last few weeks, but I was like, until I see it actually impact the game, it's hard to believe.
Right.
We're getting anonymous posts. I've not heard anything from the star player. The star player saying, nope, everything's good. And so finally he got fed up with keeping whatever those secrets were, behind closed doors. So we'll see what this league does going forward. So look, I wish this could have been a more fun episode. I was hoping it was going to be a fun episode, but again, the dark cloud over this league right now. A lot of question marks.
Well, hopefully things will turn around in the next few days, and next week will be another fun show where all we have to do is talk about the great plays, the great finishes, the upsets, whatever, on the field in AF1. I hope that's what we're back to next week.
God, I hope so, because these episodes aren't my favorite. So
yeah, yep, a real downer.
All right, guys. Yep. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned to the channel for more AF1 recaps and other football goodness as the arena, indoor, and spring football seasons march forward. We'll see you guys next time on the World of Football.